Good morning, MEC and Hobnob. So Andy Gibson told me he wrote that speech in the dark because the storms we had last night blew his power line out. Are you on EPA or Entergy? I just want to get a little... well, Southern Pine. I knew it had to be something like that. You know, today is All Saints Day, and I will tell you there's only going to be one saint that's going to speak from this podium today. I won't tell you who it is. You're not going to hear any saints speak at all. Saints are selected, not elected. I thought I'd throw that out for you, Andy. That might be good for a sermon every now and then. I'm fortunate to be here today because we haven't had any real catastrophic storms on the Gulf Coast. We had some storms last night, little damage, 17,000 people without power, but thanks to the good work that we have from the EPAs and from all the groups, power was restored. But, of course, that didn't happen in Florida. You had Hurricane Michael that hit Florida. And I want to tell you, that those people in my thoughts and prayers, if you have been down there or if you've flown over, I've looked at television or some of the media on what happened in Florida, keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Those people really suffered from where that hurricane hit. It's a blessing that storms have not hit the state of Mississippi. We've been pretty lucky. It kind of reminds me of a story about my youngest granddaughter. Mary and I had them out to eat with the family. We were at a Mexican restaurant, and she said, "Poppy," we'd eaten. She said, "I need some money." And I said, "What for, Liva?" And she said, I need some money. And all I had was a $5 bill, and I gave it to her, and I said, "Where are you going?" She said, "To buy a gumball." And I said, "Mason," her older brother, go with her. They hadn't come back in several minutes. It changed the $5 in a quarter, and I went to check on them, and Liva was standing at the gumball machine putting quarters in, and a brother saw me, and he said, "Liva, can I get a gumball?" She said, "No, I'm winning." You need to think about that. You see, it's not really luck that allows Mississippians to keep winning. It's a thoughtful preparation and learning on what happens with storms. It's being prepared for a storm, and that's why we have building codes on the Gulf Coast. It's why we try to have them throughout the state of Mississippi. People like the Mississippi Home Builders Association, the Mississippi Concrete Association, the Economic Council, and all of those folks are for building codes. It's like stronger building codes keep our coast solid. And I want to say this real succinctly. It means more economic development on the Gulf Coast and throughout the state of Mississippi. It's like the progress that we get from the new jobs that were created at Ingalls Shipyard. It's simply because we have those things in place that allow us to move forward economically. Andy, this is not in my speech, but I just want to say it. Poultry is the #1 agriculture product in the state of Mississippi, right? You can't build a poultry house or get it financed if you can't insure it. Think about what I said. You can't sell a chicken to India if it doesn't have insurance. You've got to have insurance if you have economic development. You know, we may be low on the totem pole on your radar unless you have a claim and your roof is leaking because a tree fell on it. Insurance is important to the economic development of this state. At last check on the Gulf Coast, we had less than 23,000 people in our state wind pool, which is the insurer of last resort. You will see that this trend is likely to continue simply because we've been able to recruit more companies to write on the Gulf Coast. When I took office right after Katrina, we had 6 companies that were writing on the Gulf Coast. Today we have over 30. Actually, we have 36. I think I signed 2 more letters day before yesterday, Monday before I went back to the Gulf Coast. It's things like this that make Mississippi move forward economically. The wind pool has to be changed in a lot of aspects. Some of the things that we need to do is to be careful about if we do have a catastrophic event that we do not assess policyholders. That means everybody in this room would be assessed if we had a catastrophic event and we fell short on the monies that we have. That needs to be changed. The companies need to be the ones that need to be assessed. We passed a Clarity Act in 2015, and it's helping us to collect the data that we have to show that the coast rates for insurance, homeowners insurance, are not any higher than the rest of the state in comparison. The coast is not subsidized in North Mississippi, and North Mississippi is not subsidized in South Mississippi. They're all standing on their own equal feet, and rates are fair in the state. Let me say something real quickly. I keep watching this clock about health care. The department monitors health care changes directed by those in Washington, D.C. We have very little regulatory authority over health care in this state. But we're in the health care business whether we like it or not. I'm an insurance regulator, but I get into the health care business simply because of the job and the nature of the job with health insurance. They routinely have something called balance billing sometime when you have an air ambulance. Now, air ambulances go out and they'll pick you up, take you to the hospital, and send you a $45,000 or $50,000 bill, and your insurance company won't pay for it because they're not in a network, one, or the insurance company has a cap on what they can pay actuarially. The helicopter people say, well, that's real easy. You don't regulate us, Commissioner. We're regulated by the FAA in Washington. And I say, that's not true. That's not true. If you've got somebody on that helicopter that's performing a medical service, we think you're a health care provider and we regulate you. And we have something called balance billing in the state of Mississippi. If you assign your health benefits or you take the dollars from the health care company, you cannot balance bill that client or that patient for more money. So we've been pretty dead-gum successful, and I just won't tell you how successful, but CNN has actually called us about some of the ways that we've handled these issues, and we've been able to keep consumers from being overbilled when they call us. We don't go out looking for them. That's an issue in the healthcare business that we've got to address. The other issue is that in 2010 we had 5 hospitals closed, and they haven't reopened. And today, I spoke in Natchez yesterday, on the Gulf Coast Tuesday, on a healthcare group of providers, and I told them this: you've had 4 rural hospitals in the state of Mississippi that have filed bankruptcy within the last month. The elephant in the room, folks, is health care. If you don't have health care in this state, you will not have economic development. People in Mississippi live and work here simply because they love this state, but they're not going to stay if we do not have health care in the state of Mississippi. It's important that we have decent health care, and to do that, we've all got to work together. You can't have one group saying it's your fault and the other group saying, no, it's yours. You've got to work together. My part of that little vineyard to manage, and I see a lot of you shaking your head, is to make certain that health insurance is viable and available in the state of Mississippi. We have about 62,000 people on the FFM, that's a federal market exchange, and this is something you probably need to know. If they pull out and the hospitals close, you will not have any health insurance that will be taken by a hospital group in the Delta. Think about what I've just said. Right now we cover 82 counties. What would you do if you had 50 counties with no insurance available when you went to the hospital or to a clinic? Somebody needs to be addressing, and we're trying to address our part of what's happening in the healthcare industry in this state. Just like my granddaughter said, feeding coins into the the gumball machine, she felt lucky. You've got to put something in before you get something out. And we've got to put something in the health care if we're going to have decent health care in the state of Mississippi. Thank you for letting me be here and speak today. God bless you. God bless the great state of Mississippi and these United States of America.